Highly Onionated Reviews presents the minute-by-minute synopsis of films. Today's minute-by-minute synopsis is The Secret of NIMH, an animated adventure drama film from 1982 directed by Don Bluth. The length of this movie is an hour 22 minutes and 46 seconds, or 83 minutes in total. Disclaimer: even though this is a very rough synopsis of the following film, there may be parts throughout this video that may spoil the movie itself. It is recommended to watch the movie before watching this video. There may also be content, whether from this video or from the film itself, that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. The film begins. The first thing we see is a dark room with an unlit candle. Someone should hit the light switch. Luckily, it was unnecessary because a wrinkly old hand with long fingernails is using a pen that magically sparks every time he writes his name. Suddenly, the viewers are assaulted by the film's voice talents. We cut to an old machine, steaming after being used by the direction of Don Bluth. It has seen better days. A tiny mouse named Brisby, wearing a red cape, hops around within the old machine, excited to find the person she has been looking for. She finds him, a tiny elderly mouse with narrow sight named Dr. Aging, as he leads her into his glowing yet cluttered home. Dr. Aging kicks her out after giving Brisby a package, for he is busy doing other things. She is confused, but saddened to be unable to chat with him more. As she leaves, she encounters a simp crow named Jeremy. He's trying to get into bondage with ropes, and so far, it looks like he's got the hang of it. Jeremy tries to find different bondage techniques, but he needs another crow who has the same kink as him to explore it more. He proceeds to climax after accidentally getting tied up in a peculiar yet complex way that is difficult to get out of. An old cat that looks like a giant beaver was not comfortable with Jeremy's confidence in exploring his kink, so it proceeds to drown him. A few moments later, at a watermill, we see that Jeremy is alive and will do so for the remainder of the movie. He broods to Brisby about how he'll never find a partner who will be okay with his kink. Brisby proceeds to leave, but assures him that she supports her new friend's passion, even if she's not okay with his life choices. In a small yet somewhat cozy home, 3 smaller mice children bicker, making weird noises and faces, much like how children in real life do. The middle oldest mouse, who will be named Big Bro, pretends to be his father, coming home late after a hard night of boozing. The mice children laugh at the funny act, realizing how stupid having a father is in the first place, seeing that their father is actually dead. The cold, hard reality hits Big Bro, and he feels bad, making jokes about it. In the other room, his other brother, who will be named Sleepy Boy, tries to get some shut-eye. Hopefully, his siblings won't be as rowdy tonight. Meanwhile, we realize that humans live in this world, for there would be no logical explanation for how a mouse lived in a gigantic house all by itself. The economy probably wouldn't have allowed mice to live there anyway. The next morning, Brisby awakens in a cold sweat from an unnerving yet hot dream about bondage. She doesn't linger on it for long, as she is alerted to sounds outside. All the creatures outside, including Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh, are alerted by something threatening that is rapidly approaching. We realize it's the dreaded John Deere tractor prowling the fields for its morning meal. A shrewd elderly mouse, who will be named Aunt Shu, narrowly escapes the tractor's hunger and destructive path. As Aunt Shu and Brisby discuss where their families will go, an observer watches them magically and or scientifically through an orb. Brisby begrudgingly rides on the back of Jeremy, which to her disdain he finds hot. There's no need for simps in a rated G film. They are looking for someone to help with Brisby's living conditions. They find a spooky, hollowed-out home in desperate need of cleaning. Hopefully, this is the right place. They are hesitant in entering. Brisby confidently enters the home. The owner is so messy, they even leave behind chicken bones all over the floor. Suddenly, the homeowner, who will be named Mr. Owl, arrives in dramatic fashion by landing on top of an innocent giant spider. They both discuss what Brisby should do about her living condition. He tells her that he might know of someone that may help. Staring at her with cold yet glowing Halloween eyes, Mr. Owl tells her that she will need to talk with the rats living in the rosebush to help her. The next morning, we see proof that a human is also animated here, even if they contribute nothing to the main storyline. Brisby tells Jeremy, who cosplays as a mysteriously cloaked bird searching for his kinky desires, to keep an eye on her children. She also tells them not to say anything weird, like bringing up kinks, for they are children, and this is a rated G movie. Finally free from the overly sexualized bird, Brisby ventures into a rosebush in hopes of finding the rats. The path is surprisingly deep and filled with dangerous thorns. Brisby is scared of whatever threat might be looming, yet still, she presses onward. Despite the dark outer tunnels of thorns, Brisby stands before a long pathway leading to a beautiful flower home. How such a beautiful home exists underneath a rosebush, we may never be able to know. However, a gardener rat named Gary doesn't like trespassers, especially those who try to pull off squatters' rights. They chase Brisby away with an electrified garden spear. After escaping the wrath of Gary, Brisby runs into Mr. Aging, now with a bandaged leg. She is surprised to find him here, and wonders if she should be here in the first place. Luckily, Mr. Aging knows the tunnels very well and guides her to the rat colony. As they venture deeper into the rosebush tunnels, the same observer from earlier watches them in his magical and/or scientific orb. The two are venturing deeper. The ground has become slimy yet shiny upon the rocky path. Brisby thinks to herself whether or not Jeremy would find these gross rocks disturbingly arousing. Near the entrance, the two meet Justice, a cocky and masculine rat who is friends with Mr. Aging. He could also be a weird romantic interest for Brisby, but that might be pushing the G-rating boundaries too much. The trio ventures deeper underground, and also underwater, through an elevator system. The rats are technically advanced. Why they are? We'll hopefully know. The three enter Gary's home, where a meeting among the rats is taking place. Security is on high alert because of recent tensions. Sully, one of the chubby council members of the rat colony, begins to question what a mouse like Brisby is doing in a place like this. He also wonders when their meal orders are coming in. Meanwhile, near Brisby's home, Jeremy has been tightly wrapped in bondage. He has found a new partner, but is unsure if he's okay with this relationship. Unfortunately, his kink partner is Aunt Shu, and she completely forgot the safe word. Unsure how to untangle him, she leaves Brisby's eldest daughter, who will be named Big Sis, to untie Jeremy. Big Sis and her youngest sibling, who will be named Synthesizer, attempt to untie Jeremy, but they only make it worse, and thus he becomes more aroused. This scene is what pushed the boundaries of the G rating at the time. Back at the rat colony, Mr. Aging leads Brisby to someone who may be able to help her with her situation. She is thankful that he is helping her so much, but he's only doing this so she won't bother him again. Entering a mysterious and foggy room, she meets the observer, an ancient elderly rat which will be named Namadeus, whose hand we saw earlier in the film. Namadeus points to an open book which Brisby reads through. It turns out her husband became a drunkard because of trauma from rescuing all the rats from imprisonment many years ago. He tragically died, unbeknownst to Brisby, after the old cat from earlier found out about his secret kink life, and thus murdered him. Namadeus tells Brisby if she wants to find out why her husband helped the rats and also what his secret kink life was, she must look into the magical and/or scientific orb to find out. A long time ago, a human hand reached into a cage. It was unclear whether it was trying to grab something from inside or was only pulling back its hand after placing the object inside the cage. The rats learned from this experience and began to use their hands to experiment with other things. One fateful day, a rat used their hand to lift the latch and open the door of its prison. After looking into the orb, Brisby is left with more questions. Why were the rats imprisoned in the first place? How did they inherit all of this technology? How does Brisby's husband help the others escape? And what of his secret kink life? These are valid questions that may never be answered in the end. Tired of her questions, Namadeus gives Brisby a jeweled necklace called the MacGuffin that does something important later. He wishes he had the answers she was looking for, but he is old, and thus unable to. Meanwhile, Sully is talking with another evil rat about murdering Namadeus because he is too old to lead the rat colony. Sully isn't okay with this plan, because you shouldn't kill off old people when they're no longer in use. But the other rat is more confident and persuasive than he is, so he agrees to the plan. In the underground river system of the rat colony, Brisby and Namadeus rides with Justice on an Italian boat. Justice tells her that the rats will help her and her family with their situation by moving their home to a newer and safer location. Brisby is happy that they are willing to help, so she offers anything she can to assist the rats to thank them. Namadeus tells her the rats were planning on moving the rat colony as well, but the old cat has become a hindrance to their plans. Brisby may have some use for them after all. Outside, Brisby encounters Jeremy again, who now gave up his responsibilities of watching the children and now cosplays as a tortured water lily maid. Brisby is not having it right now. Upset by her outburst, Jeremy leaves upset, promising her that he will give up on his dreams of finding a kink partner, and swims away. The following night, it is revealed what Brisby must do. She must deliver a note to the old cat, telling them he mustn't attack the rats while the rats move their colony, all while Brisby doesn't wear her jewel and her cape. She is uncertain if this plan will work because of how ridiculous it is. Back at the Brisby home, the children are recreating their favorite washing scene from the Disney movie The Sorcerer and the Stone. Mrs. Shue does not approve of it, but does nothing to stop them. Brisby, although successful in delivering the letter to the old cat, gets captured by the humans and is imprisoned in a birdcage. She overhears one of the humans plotting to exterminate the rat colony living in the rosebush that morning because they have not been keeping up with their end of the rent. Brisby must warn the others to move out tonight. As the other rats work on moving Brisby's home to a new location, Sully's evil friend begins to set up the murder of Namadeus by sabotaging the equipment moving Brisby's home. It is a dangerous plan, but it would make it look like an accident. Sully's evil friend begins to cut down the rope holding the equipment together and tells Sully to do the same. He is hesitant, knowing what he's doing is wrong. His evil friend calls him a coward and proceeds to cut down the rest of the rope. At the same time, Brisby attempts to drown herself to escape. Remembering what she saw when looking into the magical and/or scientific orb, she uses her hand to open the front gate, which was surprisingly easy to do. She escapes the birdcage and rushes to the other rats. As she approaches them, we see all of the rats, including Mr. Aging, mourning, for Namadeus had died from a freak accident while moving Brisby's home. Sully's evil friend is now in charge of the rat colony. Realizing that Sully is the only one who knows what he has done, his evil friend begins to attack Sully in a bloodthirsty rage in front of everyone. Justice, true to his name, becomes furious about the evil rat's intentions and fights him through complex swordplay. The evil rat, injured from the bout, cowers away after his defeat. Now seen as an outcast from the others, he vows that he shall have his revenge. Little did any of us know that he gets killed off-screen by a sneaky knife throw from Sully. Confused by what had transpired, Brisby collapses in sadness in front of her house. Not only was her home unsuccessfully moved safely, but her children could also very well be dead after such an accident. Her children, as it turns out, are very much fighting to stay alive. They are struggling to stay afloat as the muddy water slowly floods the house. Where Sleepy Boy is throughout all of this could be anyone's guess, but no one seems to care. Suddenly, before her children and home become swallowed by the muddy water, the MacGuffin jewel Namadeus gave Brisby activates in a glowing ray of light. Turns out, it was a red Chaos Emerald, granting any holder whatever ability they need at that moment. Brisby, wielding the emerald, goes Super Saiyan and transforms her home into a block of molten rock, causing the muddy water to boil and shooting hot spurts of lava everywhere. Whether or not the children survive this is beyond anyone else's care. After moving her home to a new safe location, Brisby collapses from exhaustion. Everyone stares at her unconscious body, unsure if what transpired could ever be scientifically or magically explained. Some time has passed. Jeremy returns, and although no longer actively looking for a kink partner, he feels depressed and lonely with the bondage rope he recently purchased. Much to his surprise, Brisby found that there was another crow that also had a bondage fetish and secretly hooked them up. Both Jeremy and the other crow hit it off right away, immediately tying each other in heated passion. Brisby and her children uncomfortably watched as the two birds fly off to explore their fetishes as dramatic music plays. The end.